So today's podcast is about meeting women with depth or just for a dopamine kick. So as our evening goes, our time and energy is very precious. The time that we spend with people. In the previous podcast, we talked about a woman who drains you and empowers you. And this is a very relatable but not similar topic about, are you chasing spark or are you building a sustainable flame? And here's the truth, because not every woman that you meet is meant for material for growth. Some of them are meant to probably be very short-lived in your life, and to remind you that there's a kind of rush and kick the high in the season of your life, and if you are not grounded, you will easily be led away and astray by women. And it might be very confusing because that kind of instant spark that these people create might be mistaken for something that we thought was. So, some personal stories of mine, and there was once when I met someone who, after just meeting them, it made my heart race, and there's this feeling of intrigue and like, wow, where were you, and how come I didn't know you beforehand? And it makes me feel that I always want to my heart keep beating up fast, and whenever she would text me, my eyes would light up and there will be excitement. And only many weeks later that I realized I don't really know who she was, or more importantly, I wasn't even sure who I was. That's why the allure to be attracted to this woman instantly was almost inevitable. And I mistaken that experience of dopamine as depth, a spark recognized as a flame. And there were of course those who felt very different, that I really connected with and took time to really get to know myself and them. And there's this energy of growth that is slower, less dramatic, lack of the feeling of fireworks, but it's more like a slow flame that slowly slips into the life itself. And of course, how this relationship is gonna go on or not, it really depends on at the point of time where my season of growth and alignment was. So in this episode today, we will talk about the difference between meeting women who spark your dopamine and those who can help you go further in depth together with them. I will talk a bit about the science of dopamine, and simply to put it, dopamine is a short-term reward triggered by the excitement and chase. And as we know that scrolling through social media feels very addictive, like the one after another, next after next. And that's why women like this, a new crush can make our heart pound almost like instantaneously. There's always this what's next, pace by pace, step by step. And however, when this happens, and especially when the session ends, the dopamine rushes fast and hard. And there'll be more craving like sugar. It's like sugar, when we eat sugar, it's sweet and instant. It gives the gratification on the spot, but in a couple of minutes, it's gone. And for depth that requires sustainable flame, is like a nourishing meal. When it is something that is good for you, it nourishes your energy, your body. It stays with you. Although it might not be the best taste that immediately can fulfill your taste bud, but it stays with us. And it fuels us over time, and it builds our strength from something that is from inside out. And the key line is this: whenever anyone is involved in this relationship, we can't see it. And many men confuse this experience with fulfillment, because this kind of dopamine trap, being stuck in it, one sweet after another, one kick after another, relationship escalations faster and faster from a level to something that it feels deeper. And this possibly, if you pause and you realize you want more, instead of feeling fulfilled when you are not with her. This might be a potential dopamine trap red flag. And let's go in depth. How does that really feels like? And the science of that, personally, in my experience, is after a meaningful conversation with a person, there is a sense of groundedness and inner alignment, sort of a house of alignment. The alignment trace inside gets fueled. And I don't feel anxious whenever, there's a distance away from the person. There's no need to keep pursuing and chase to try to find out and be curious. Oh, is she okay? Did I say something wrong? Just pass and pop out of the blue. And in moments of silence, there's no need to fill up the conversation with fart or with conversations just to avoid the quietness. And there's no need to say something smart, witty, to just perform, to get the attention, to validate ourselves, to feed the dopamine. And as she expands our perspective with wisdom and depth, it makes us go deeper into our aligned self. And it is not conversations that fuels our ego, like, oh, your haircut very nice. Hey, I realize you've been working out. Hey, you look very different today. Our looks can be different. It depends on the look, or is it the energy that we give? Because for something that drives the dopamine, it will be something that feeds the ego. Oh, you're so funny. You're so cute. You are so, you really know how to make me laugh. And this potentially could be driven from performance. To get an outcome in order to feed the kind of dopamine, it's like posting on social media and waiting for the next 5-10 minutes, how many likes we get, or is there anybody who shares? But looking at the likes can make us feel, oh, wow, this is good. People like me, or people share me, people recognize me. But if it's coming from a genuine groundedness, the amount of likes from the person, or the validation that we get, is really not as important as coming from our own groundedness. Because the women who are anchored with depth, they will resonate with POA, powers of alignment, who elude conversations from presence, powers of presence. Our purpose for this current life mission is clear. And there's this energy of peace that we are not chasing for any dramatic things to prove our self-worth. Or it's like the opposite of powers of attraction, where you talk about the tired moments, and there's a need to create a roller coaster and let it drop so that we'll be the one to catch them fall, just to experience that dopamine kick and down. And then we'll be the one to catch them at the down and be the one that lift them up, so that they become addicted to us. Or we, as a result, become addicted to them, addicted to us for our self-worth. And these common traps, my dear friends, is, let's say, talk about validation. It's like she replies very fast to give me attention, so that she knows that I get hooked by her instant reply. And I mistaken it as priority or connection. And that would be a very different kind of validation rather than intimacy for connection. And in terms of dopamine intensity versus compatibility, the intensity can feel like it's fiery and burning, like a wildfire. But at the same time, this fire is just not burning on anything. It is just spark after spark. It's like a firework that goes out, but there's nothing to sustain the flame. Because the true fire of that can keep us warm over time, and it ignites the inner fire within us. And for dopamine versus alignment and groundedness, the dopamine can feel that she wants you for this moment, but does she really see you for you being who you are on the inside? Or is it something that she tried to get your attention, and that moment there was sparks, so that she can be distracted from looking at her own emptiness and inadequacy? So through the eyes of a powers of aligned lens, my dear friends, if you really want to make her feel enough, we should never misalign ourselves just to fuel their emptiness, because in order to feed that someone, we get something in return. That validation can be like a quick fix of a dopamine. And that's where, when men crave feeding them or being fed, it allows the misalignment to just fall out of place and lose ourselves. So I want to anchor with some key takeaways here. Chasing the dopamine is not wrong. A lot of men do that. But to not recognize it, it can help us fall into a vicious trap, because the dopamine is just a spark. Going in depth, it is the fire and the solid fuel. If you only want to keep chasing sparks, eventually it will start fizzle out. Or we have to keep changing relationship, new ones, and there's always spark. But realize that the spark gets more short-lived over time, because people eventually, how different can they be? And we will start realizing that we are running out of options for novelty. Same thing for the women out there. So if you've built fire that goes in depth with someone that values depth over performance, there would be definitely a longer sustainability, probably even for a lifetime. And just some quick questions for yourself, not to check them, but to check in with yourself, especially for men. After spending time with them, do you feel more grounded? Or is there some sense of restlessness, like when you want to quickly go and see them again? Are you drawn to her because she makes you excited? Or is her presence anchoring you and grounding you? And every time when you want to meet her, do you want to show up to impress? Dress up, speak eloquently, create stories, bring them to exciting places? Or do you truly believe your full presence is how you show up and you receive her presence as something that's sustainable? And for physical wise, it is up to you. And as we do know, there are even many men out there, even women including, wants to just speed up physical escalation. And before we do that, remember, physical escalation, once you step up, there's somehow no point of return. And it is important that you test for alignment in terms of your own value first, and not just the vibe that is so electrifying. And notice how you feel after every session when you're spending time with them. Do you feel expanded and whole? Or do you just feel drained out and depleted? And this is me speaking from experience, my dear friends. That doesn't require you to perform. It only needs you to be present in the moment with the one who encourages you to be present as well. I believe there's something true. Because if your attraction truly starts from within, the more that you are aligned with yourself, the more you will draw in naturally women or partners who wants to align with you in depth, not just for the dopamine fast and go. And just take a quick reflection, my dear friends, over this past season of the people that you spend time with. Do they energize you or deplete you? As back to our next topic, because you will be able to recognize through this podcast here whether there is a dopamine kick, a spark, a firework, or is it someone that gives you the sustainable, that keeps you grounded, growing, and allows you to be more aligned and whole as a person. Not easy to find, my dear friends, but once you found yourself, you find your own alignment. True attraction starts when you are whole and aligned with yourself. My dear friends, it's Paul, and I see you soon for our next podcast.